Most dog trainers are telling you that if your dog has separation anxiety, give them a bone or a toy to chew on anytime you leave. But you know as soon as you walk outside that door, that's not going to cut it. Today, we're talking about separation anxiety and the real training method that's going to help you the most. First, we need to understand how separation anxiety could even start in our dogs. We have to understand that dogs are naturally pack animals, which means that they are instinctively used to living in a group. Whenever we bring them into our domesticated home, we have to understand that humans don't operate like that. Humans live lives where they go to work, they go to different events, and they're not always together, which means that our dog has to get used to the human way of life, where there is going to be times of separation, and we have to train them to be okay with that. We'll detail this training process shortly, but understand that's the underlying cause that develops into separation anxiety. So how do you know if your dog is really dealing with separation anxiety versus just bored or frustrated? One of the common signs that your dog has separation anxiety is some barking or whining. But dogs that are also bored or frustrated can also bark and whine as well. So I like to say there's different levels to separation anxiety: low, medium, and high. A low level of separation anxiety might display behaviors like a little bit of barking when you're leaving, a little bit of whining when there's some separation, maybe some drooling or panting. A medium level of separation anxiety tends to be a little bit more severe and potentially destructive. You could have some shoes torn up in the house, socks torn up, some pieces of furniture. Nothing too crazy, but it's still there, right? You could also have some potty issues in the house when you leave, like your dog peeing on the floor. The high cases of separation anxiety, or the more extreme cases, this is when the dog is causing major damage in the house, where they're ripping up parts of the house, especially around the door, ripping up furniture, chewing through walls or carpets, having bad potty problems in the house, peeing and pooping, screeching, howling, and even causing injury to themselves. This is your more extreme case of separation anxiety. So there are, generally 3 categories of the separation anxiety, but no matter what category you fall in, I would still work on it with the training process that we'll talk about here in just a second. But if you have an extreme case, that might be a situation where you might need some professional help from a dog trainer or even your veterinarian. So let's talk about our training method for how we're going to address separation anxiety. First of all, do understand that daily exercise is going to be very important, because this is going to help you balance out your dog's natural energy levels. That's your first starting point, is if you're not doing this already, making sure that you're implementing daily physical and mental exercise in your daily routine. This is going to work wonders for you. So one thing we recommend is walking your dog at least an hour total per day to help balance out their mental and physical energy levels. Now, how do you balance out your dog's energy levels mentally while you're walking? That's going to be having them walk in a loose leash walking position or a heel position next to you. And we have some other videos on our channel that could help you develop that with your dog if you haven't already. So once we've gotten that daily physical exercise routine down, now we're going to introduce a 3-step process to help us fully address the separation anxiety issue. So the first thing we want to do, especially when we're dealing with separation anxiety, is create a safe space for our dog. A kennel or a crate is going to be a great way to do this. You can start creating a safe space for your dog with your kennel by doing a couple things. First of all, you can feed them their daily meals in the kennel. This will help associate the kennel with a place where they get to relax and a place where they get their food, which helps create that conditioned response that this is a good place to be at. The other thing you can do is, after you do your daily walks with your dog, depending on if you're doing 1 walk per day or multiple walks per day, after you walk, you can put your dog in the kennel to rest. Therefore, we're developing the kennel being a resting place for your dog and further conditioning their ability to relax in the kennel. And the last thing we could do is give our dog some toys or chew things in the kennel. That way they can chew them in the kennel and be relaxed in the kennel. Now, when you're dealing with separation anxiety, you'll probably have to be in the room with your dog when you first start this. So don't go too far. You're feeding them in the kennel, just put their food in the kennel and hang out in the same room as the kennel. That way they can be comfortable in there. Same thing when you're giving them chew items, toys or whatever, you can put that in the kennel, be in the same room, or move the kennel to a room that you guys are your family is normally in. The other thing about the kennel is make sure it's comfortable. So you can put like a little padded bed in there. We have Primo pads that we use in our kennels. They're easy to clean and they're comfortable as well. So make the kennel a safe place, a resting place, and further develop that with your dog. The next step in your separation anxiety training is actually going to be desensitization training. This is getting your dog used to the fact of those events that normally mean you're getting separated, but you're actually not leaving. So one example could be you grab your keys as if you were leaving, you walk out your door, but then before you actually leave, you just turn around and go back inside. This is getting your dog desensitized to cues that used to mean you were leaving and creating a separation event, but no longer meaning so. So some other examples, putting your shoes on, tying your shoes, going out the door, right, coming right back in. Of course, during this process, if your dog is doing a good job of being calm, you want to say good, reward them for calmness. If your dog is starting to get a little bit anxious, just ignore them and let them get used to the fact that you're moving in and out as if you were leaving, but you're not actually leaving. Some other things you want to consider as part of your desensitization training is gradually increasing the amount of time that you depart and then you arrive. So let's say you've grabbed your keys, you went out your door, let's say you closed your door, right? You slowly want to increase the amount of time that you've been outside before you arrive again. So maybe start off with just a couple seconds and slowly increase the amount of time to 30 plus seconds as you build up this comfort level. And also as part of this process, you want to make sure that leaving and returning is not a big event. It's just a matter of fact. So from here on out, as we're working on our separation anxiety, anytime you leave for real, you're not saying goodbye or anything like that. You're simply walking out the door. When you return home, you're not making a big deal either. You're just walking in the house like a matter of fact. And if your dog happens to be excitable, right, coming up to you, being super excited, just ignore them for a few minutes until they calm down. Once they calm down, then you can pet them, then you can reward them, then you can talk to them, because we are rewarding calmness deliberately, and we're staying away from rewarding or even inadvertently reinforcing any type of anxiety. All right, and the third step to working on our separation anxiety is building up alone time. The big component of this is healthy separation between you and your dog. Again, a place command is a great tool to help us with this, but the key is not going too fast too soon. So as you're building up your healthy separation, do short periods of time with your dog in a healthy separation situation. Place, use your kennel, even just departing from the house for a few minutes, then coming right back in. Start off with a short interval of time and slowly build it up as your dog shows are able to continually display calmness even while you're not next to them. Now this can get challenging. So what do you do if you're having some problems? First of all, I would implement healthy separation time after you do some exercise. When you exercise your dog, their energy levels are going to come down. So that's a great time, a great place when they're in that resting mindset to go ahead and work on some healthy separation and ease them into that concept. The other thing that can help you with healthy separation, giving your dog something to chew on while you do these sessions, like a bully stick is a great thing. Give your dog a bully stick and then move away from them. Go out the house for a couple seconds to a couple minutes, come back. Although we know that dogs with severe separation anxiety will stop chewing because of that departure, everything you've worked on up until this point is going to start playing into this healthy separation piece and will make a difference. If you're finding value from this video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up and share it with somebody who needs to learn more about separation anxiety. Common mistakes to avoid in your separation anxiety training are going to be, first of all, not making a big deal about your arrival and departure from the home. So whenever you're coming and going, make sure it's a calm environment. Your dog might have some anxious energy, they might be excited, but I want you to ignore your dog until they're calm. Remember, we want to reward calmness, not anxious energy. The next mistake to avoid is going to be rushing your training process. Take your time with this. We need to fully rehabilitate the separation anxiety problem that we're dealing with. Make sure you're incorporating your daily mental, physical exercise. You're creating a safe space in your house for your dog. You're also desensitizing your arrival and departure and your times of separation so your dog can remain calm in those situations. And then also work on your healthy separation using a place command or your kennel so your dog gets comfortable being away from you for longer periods of time. Don't forget, we don't want to reward anxious behaviors. So make sure that you're rewarding calmness deliberately. If you're doing your arrival or departure from the house and your dog is calm, say good, give them a pet on the head. But if your dog is excitable or anxious, just ignore them and carry on with your training process. So what's your timeline for working on your dog's separation anxiety? Most dogs you'll start seeing results pretty quickly as soon as you start your training process, but it will probably take several weeks, I would say 6 to 8 weeks, to really address the separation anxiety at a level to where you're comfortable and your dog is comfortable. In very extreme cases, you might need help from a professional dog trainer or your veterinarian. And we get asked a lot, is it okay to use medication when you're working on your separation anxiety? Sometimes that can be beneficial for a very short period of time. You're going to want to work together with your trainer and veterinarian to help figure out if you should use some medication in your process. And if you're interested in working with our team, go ahead down to the link in the description below and let us know. We'd be happy to help. And if you're interested in learning how we teach dogs to be comfortable in the crate, go ahead and check out this video right here, where I teach you all of our tips and tricks. I'll see you in that video.